It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country. Do you live ECU? Do you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in to Hoist the Colors on this Friday edition of the show. It is 12 noon. That means we are live on YouTube and Facebook as well as X on all these social media channels via 94.3 The Game as well as our Hoist the Colors Twitter page. So tune in there. And that is open for comments. YouTube open for comments. Facebook open for comments as well. You can always archive the show on the IBX Media app as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you missed any of the show, I know we have a lot of people that digest the content that way. Feel free to download those apps as well and listen there. It is Friday. We had the first round of the NFL draft last night. Savone Revel did not get picked. We'll react to that. We'll react to our favorite teams, some of the surprises as well. To do that on this Friday, we have Bobby Harward. He's joining us virtually today from his home, and we have Philip Pilkinen. Bobby, how's it going, man? You fired up about your Commanders, even though I see you wearing a Panther shirt, so we're going double duty today?
We're going double duty. Fired up about the Commanders pick. Can never go wrong with protecting the trenches. And I was telling Philip before you hopped on the call that the offensive tackle from Oregon that we took, Josh Connerly, has given up 2 sacks in 1,100 pass block attempts. So that's a pretty high percentage.
Only because he was playing next to ECU great Nashad Strother is what I heard. I think that's a solid pick. You can't go wrong with a bookend offensive lineman in the draft. There's no doubt about that. Philip Pilkington is with us as well behind the glass in the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip, did you make it through the entire draft last night or the entire first round?
I did. Clearly, I was still a little tired because I played the wrong open, so I apologize to that. Full disclosure, we're having Mike Mullis on the show later, and due to him having a TV broadcast, we had to record him early, and I had Patrick's thing pulled up. So I apologize for that. But, I made up for the whole thing, and I guess we'll get into our thoughts about it later because I've got some thoughts.
There's plenty of thoughts. Shedeur Sanders going unpicked. Mel Kiper Jr. is screaming somewhere and will continue to scream until Shedeur Sanders gets picked. We'll discuss that, but we'll start from a local perspective. Savone Revel, I think all of us were hopeful that he would go in the first round. I think it was plus odds. So against him to a degree, although there was some buzz. I had heard maybe even the top half of the first round because of the uncertainty surrounding the cornerback position. We saw it for Travis Hunter. The next corner did not go until the 20th pick, Jahdae Barron to the Denver Broncos, which we'll touch on in a minute. But Savone doesn't go. 3 corners total. Maxwell Harrison goes to the Bills at 30, which was a popular pick for Savone. Potentially, they choose to go with a smaller, faster corner. So, look, not a huge surprise, a little bit of a disappointment, but he'll be off the board tonight. And just any reaction to Savone not going, Bobby?
I'm more so angry that I lost $5, and I'm not going to blame y'all's conversation yesterday. I'm more so going to blame Tom Pelissero because after the show, I sent y'all a tweet that he had mentioned he's hearing Savone Revel move up draft boards, but then had a buddy, I guess, watching NFL Network Live had said he's heard buzz that Savone could be the first corner taken in the draft, kind of what you were just alluding to there, Stephen. So, it would have been nice to see him go, but it could work out better for him just to ensure he's in a really good scheme fit because, like you mentioned pre-show, the Bills are a pretty majority zone defense. So I think Savone fits better in a press man scheme, and I've seen him mock today to the Ravens. Have him fallen a little bit in the second round, but I think would be a good fit. I've also seen the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously the Seahawks are the former Ravens defensive coordinator. So again, I think it's another good spot for him.
Yeah, the Bucks would be interesting as well because they love to blitz. Todd Bowles, we know, loves to leave his corners on an island, so that would be an ideal fit too. I know he visited there and met with them at the Combine, so that's definitely a team to watch in the second round. Philip, your take on Savone not going yesterday despite our wishes?
I think it was pretty clear when the first corner, not really going to talk about Travis Hunter. He's a unicorn and we knew where he was going. But the first corner after him not going till 20, I knew was kind of bad news for Savone. I figured that if one guy went maybe in the 16 to 17 range and we saw a run on corners, that he could go there in the high 20s. But look, man, at the end of the day, it was a big guy's first round. There were a lot of defensive linemen, edge guys, and interior, and then a lot of offensive linemen, and not just tackles. There were interior offensive linemen that went as well in this draft. And this is the type of first round that it looks like you look back and you didn't draft very many Hall of Famers. Maybe they weren't the sexiest picks, but they were huge pieces around a team that you already had. And that's not any one team I'm talking about. It's just when you have a bunch of defensive tackles and offensive linemen, this is an ultimate draft really to get pieces to your team, it seems like. And when it's one of those drafts, you don't see a lot of receivers go off the board early, which we did not, and you don't see a lot of corners or a lot of quarterbacks. Well, we saw two quarterbacks. I think it was 3 receivers and 2 corners.
So the big storylines as we look at it more from a broad perspective, obviously Cleveland passing on Travis Hunter, Jacksonville trades up. Now Cleveland did get a haul of picks. And I was texting with a Browns fan, and he was saying, a former intern of mine, Max Sullivan, who basically said, this is a move to make up for the disaster that was the Deshaun Watson trade and giving away all those picks. So they hoarded a bunch of picks. We'll see how that works out long term. They end up getting Mason Graham at 5. But what do y'all think of Jacksonville moving up to get Travis Hunter? And interesting, of course, that they brought in an offensive coach. So I would definitely assume, Bobby, that he is going to be a two-way guy in Duval, as they say.
That would be my thought. Is he's a two-way guy. I think they're going to start him at receiver, which is probably why you trade up to 2 there to make that pick. I had a feeling they'd go Ashton Gianti and go an offensive guy just based upon what some of the experts or insiders were saying. But that trade, that could make a very scary pairing of Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. We'll see if Liam Cohen can finally uncrack the Trevor Lawrence code. I know he's had really only one true good season. He hasn't been terrible by any means, but he's really had one good season when they made the playoffs. And it does kind of make sense, too, not going the Ashton Genty route because they still have ETN and they had options at the running back position. But still, I'm always hesitant trading up. For some reason, I just don't feel like it always works out. Hence, Bryce Young and that situation a few years ago. But then always, it seems like teams kind of get bit in the butt. Same thing along those lines, too. Dude, what the heck is Atlanta doing? Why are they giving up so much to get 2 defensive ends? Like, what in the world are they thinking?
I'm with you on both those picks, Bobby. It wasn't the fact that they traded up. It was the fact that I don't think either one of those teams are in position to then give up a first-rounder next year. Atlanta, you're not 100% sure what you're going to get. You got a rookie quarterback, not a rookie, but might as well be in Michael Penix Jr. Jacksonville, you probably just gave them another damn top 10 pick. Like, you're going to need that next year. What are you doing? I mean, I know he's like a generational unicorn talent, but come on, man. I don't know. Both of them were weird to me. The only trade that made sense other than, some of the, the little small trades, the only, back into the first round or giving up picks in the future that made sense to me was the Giants. If you think he's your franchise quarterback, that's fine. Everybody else, what the hell are you doing?
And my other thing, too, how the heck do the Eagles continue to get away with this year after year in taking one of the top SEC defenders? I mean, they showed the graphic at the end of the draft last night. They are so stout on defense, and they're so young. I mean, they have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in the middle of that defensive line. They got, what's his name, Bond, or whoever they re-signed, Braun, the linebacker, but now Jahad Campbell. And then outside at corner, you have Quinyon Mitchell and Dijon. Dude, Howie Roseman's brilliant, but how does the rest of the NFL continue to allow that to happen?
Yeah, Lane Smith is in the chat. He says, Eagles defense just got better. We are taking the East again. We'll see if Bobby's Commanders have anything to say about that. But, yeah, I mean, they stand pat. I know they traded up, one spot, but they stand pat and get their guy. And they do a great job drafting. And you just got to give them credit. Right now, they are a well-run organization and are doing a great job. So, again, the Eagles add to a strength. Definite plus move for them. All right. Robert Matthews says you can't help but feel good for the 30th pick out of Kentucky. He sincerely congratulated every single player that was picked. Did y'all see that? Sincerely congratulated every single player that was picked. So what did he do? Go through and name? What's that? I don't know. Still wish it would have been Savon. And I tweeted, I'm not a hot take guy, but the Bills and the Broncos, my team, I think will regret passing on Savon Rebel. I am not a huge fan. We'll get into our team's picks. Look, Jahdae Barron, 4.39, Jim Thorpe Award winner, but he projects as a nickel cornerback. Now, he can play outside. He played the boundary at Texas this past year. I'm not a huge fan of the pick. It is a best player available pick. I think Denver had him as a top 10 player. A lot of different opinions about him because typically you want a longer, more projectable corner if you're going to draft a corner that high. But he is a ball hawk. He does have versatility. Some people project him as a safety. He's good against the run. The other concern I have is he is probably going to take Jaquan McMillan's spot. I mean, you have Patrick Surtain, the defensive player of the year. You've got Riley Moss at the other corner spot. Jaquan is an above-average nickel, so Jahdae Barron's probably a much better version of Jaquan. Nothing against Jaquan. That's just reality. So he'll probably be depth. He's only got one more year left on his deal as an exclusive rights free agent, so as a former Pirate, I'm a little concerned about that. But he's done enough to make a roster somewhere else. I just didn't love the pick, but it is the deepest running back draft in like 10 years, so I think they'll get another back. But I don't know, Philip. I know you kind of monitor the Broncos due to your ties to Colorado. So what did your Broncos friends have to say about it?
It was kind of one of those things where it felt like the defense, can you always get better? Sure. But it seems like y'all's holes were maybe a little more on the offensive side of the football and corner especially. Now, look, there were issues last year. When Riley Moss was out, whether it was Damari Mathis or whoever was filling in there, it was ugly. And, Jaquan's not getting moved outside. So maybe this is a mindset of, hey, we're going to put him in the nickel, and then if he does have to get moved outside, we're going to trust him more than some of the other guys that we had outside in the past. But with that being said, I think, like you said, Jaquan is above average nickel, so they need to deal him. If you guys want to give him an edge rusher up for a wide receiver that was just drafted number 8, we can talk.
Yeah, I'm interested. And they've used quite a lot of picks on corners in the 3rd, 4th round the last few years, and now going first round. It'll be interested. Clearly they love him, and clearly it was the best player available pick. And, of course, Genty and Amarion Hampton go to the AFC West, so I got to deal with them. But I guess Denver was not sold on Hampton, letting him fall to the Chargers. Bobby, you kind of touched on it. Offensive tackle was the pick for the Commanders. Was any part of you hoping for something else, something a little more sexy?
Yes. Before I answer that question, though, the Omarion Hampton Harbaugh connection could be very scary in L.A. now. I was about to say San Diego. My other question to you, I had, not that I'm an insider, I do a mock draft every year, and I had Emeka Egbuka going to Denver. Yeah. Do you know if they had him high on the board, and maybe since he went the pick before to Tampa Bay is why they zagged a little bit and went Barron?
I think that's a fair point. A lot of people in the Denver media were suggesting Egbuka to Denver because he kind of fits the Sean Payton mold of a bigger receiver who could play the slot and just a solid receiver. I think if he would have fell to 20, they would have had a decision to make, and I think they may have gone Egbuka in that case. But it's, Sean Payton, he throws out as many smoke screens as any coach I've ever followed going into the draft. Like, he doesn't give away. They don't tip their hand at all in the building. Like last year, they said it was just him and the GM that knew they were going to take Bo Nix. And so nobody had him taking Bo Nix, and nobody had him taking a corner. Definitely not Jahdae Barron.
Okay, speaking of that, though, the Egbuka thing. Everybody that I was at the draft party with, now there were 2 Bucs fans there, were scratching their head. Why in the heck did they take a wide receiver? They already got 3 of them.
I asked the same thing.
Like,
isn't Chris Godwin close getting a free agent deal? I know he's coming off an injury too. Oh, really?
He just resigned this offseason, yeah.
And then you got Evans, and then I'm drawing a blank. Who was their number 3 guy that was number 2 most of the year because Godwin was hurt?
I'm going blank because I saw Adam Schefter last night tweet out the weapons that they had, and they're pretty stacked.
And they got like 2 legit tight ends, like
Sterling Shepard, Jalen McMillan.
Oh, McMillan.
McMillan, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are deep. I guess it's just get as many weapons. And maybe that was the best
got so many other problems, man.
Yeah.
Like, they need some pieces to get to a Super Bowl, and receiver ain't it. You got a good quarterback. You got targets he likes. Get him some protection.
Well, I thought they were going to go Jahad Campbell, have him replace Levante David since they just lost him. But yeah. I will answer your question, though, Steven, since I haven't answered it yet about offensive tackle and who the Commanders were going to take. It was a surprise to me. Prior to the Laramie Tunsil trade, Commanders were being mocked offensive tackle. Josh Simmons from Ohio State and then Josh Connerly from Oregon were the 2 that were mocked because they were the 2 that were expected to slide. But, kind of what I was expecting is a defensive player. We had a left tackle last year and a rookie in Brandon Coleman. Because of the Laramie Tunsil trade, we were able to slide him over to right tackle, move the right tackle Andrew Wiley into guard. I felt like the offensive line was good enough until Sam Cosmi comes back from injury. So I was expecting defense, especially with all the holes that we had. And obviously, as a Pirate, I love Savone Revel. The other 2 that I thought maybe potentials were Nick Emanwari from South Carolina, and then Donovan Ezaraku from Boston College were kind of the 2 that I had my eyes on. And I felt like the 3rd option prior to even offensive tackle at 4th was a running back. I thought they may go for Travion Henderson or somebody if he was there, but I guess they felt convicted enough. They did put out a video that I guess earlier in the week, Cliff Kingsbury had dropped a note on Adam Peters' desk asking him to pick the Oregon tackle. And so I guess Cliff's wish came to fruition.
Always nice to hear those behind-the-scenes stories after the picks are made. It's what makes following the draft so much fun, for sure. I'll tell you what, Ted McMillan to the Panthers, we'll hit that on the other side because I think we can have a bigger picture discussion on that. And I actually like the pick. I know some Panther fans dislike it. I'll tell you why I like it, and we'll get Philip's thoughts as well. More draft talk. We'll also get into ECU baseball, ECU spring game preview as well. This is Hoist the Colors.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid-steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Welcome back to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Gentlemen, hoist the colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Friday. We're wrapping up round 1 of the NFL draft. Of course, Savone Revel did not get picked. He will be off the board presumably tonight. Second and third round action will get underway starting at 7 o'clock. We also have ECU baseball hosting Tulane in a 3-game series. We'll preview that a little bit later in the show. That is a 6 o'clock first pitch. You can get coverage 5:45 on 94.3 The Game. We've got Bobby Harward. We've got Philip Pilkington as usual on our Friday show. Bobby, brought to you today by Sup Dogs. Check them out, 213 East 5th Street, Greenville, North Carolina. You guys know the deal. Sup Dogs, and I believe Doggy Jams. Is Doggy Jams today? Do y'all know? Come on now.
I have no idea. I'm so far out of the loop, dude. I stayed
Doggy
up till
Jams is
1
today.
last night. It is today?
Yep.
Let's
2
go,
Chainz.
boys.
Are
Let's
y'all,
go. Let's
y'all
do
trying to
it.
head
Why
out there?
not? We'd be the oldest people by 10 years there. Let's do it.
2 Chainz. Let's do it. It says 5 Points Plaza, 2 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. I think you need tickets to enter, but hey, we can
You
just
do.
roll down there. My brother works at the Stop Shop. We can get in.
Brett will let us.
I'm gonna have to pass, guys. I'm sorry to be that guy, but I already am very excited about tonight. I have a 3 TV setup. I'm going to bring a 3rd TV downstairs into that den garage area that we've converted. So I'm going to have Canes on the big TV since they play game 3 tonight. I'm going to have NFL draft on the medium TV. And I am going to have the Orioles because they're a total suck fest right now on the small TV.
No love for the Pirates?
No love for the Pirates. I'm sorry. I'm more of a professional sports guy if I have the option between pro and college. But, if I can discover a 4th TV somewhere, if somebody wants to donate that, I'd happily put the Pirates on. I
mean, if I were in trouble for blowing off work, I'd blow off work and bring a 4th TV because it does actually sound way more intriguing. Like, I will say this, guys. I'm not sort of trying to get off topic here, but I am more excited for the second night of the draft this year than I feel like I've been in a long time.
Same.
And it's not just because of Savone. Like, that's part of it for sure. But I just thought there were so many guys that did not go, whether it be an injury concern or whatever, quarterback situation, that, like, tonight I'm very intrigued by. Like, I kind of want to just sit there and watch the draft.
I'm with you, and I thought that's why I know we're going to hit on the Panthers here, but I thought that's why it was so smart for them to take a receiver. There's such a big gap between, like, that first 1 or 2, whether you want to consider Golden and Egbuka or whatever in that category with Tet, and the rest of the receivers that will be taken in the 2nd and 3rd round, whereas all these defensive guys seem to just be bottlenecked together, and a lot of these guys are going to be available in the 2nd round for the Panthers to be able to make one of those picks.
Yeah, I'm with you guys as well. Sean Payton said after last night, he's like, really, this is the honeypot of the draft, the 2nd through 4th rounds. Like, you have a lot of middle-tier first-round players or really second-round grades on a lot of these guys, maybe even leaking into the 3rd round. So you should get a lot of quality picks here if you are an NFL team that has a pick or multiple picks like some have designed. Speaking of MLB, I got to get a shot in here, Philip.
All right, do it, and then I'll say my piece on the Panthers pick.
We'll circle back Panthers, but before I forget, because I have to mention on the air, the Seattle Mariners won their first series in Boston since 2014, and you guys lost to Emerson Hancock. We beat Garrett Crochet, the best pitcher in the world according to Red Sox fans. What happened, man?
I know what happened in 2014. We finished last in the AL East, so this is not good. What happened was you guys looked very mature at the plate. More mature than you guys have looked 1 through 9, really, in the last, probably
Ever.
all year. You know, I felt like every approach was very open-minded as to what, regardless of the pitcher that was on the mound, you guys didn't go with this approach where you had to swing at first pitches or you weren't going to swing at first pitches, and you kind of took what Boston gave you, and then on the other side of things, we didn't hit the ball very well because your pitchers were spotting their stuff. I mean, even some of the guys that we saw, like you said, maybe don't have the best stuff, but they were they hit their spots. They got a lot of weak contact, and I didn't think Boston even had a bad approach. I just thought your pitchers did a better job of hitting their spots, and our hitters didn't take as good of advantage as yours did. That was very straightforward. So congratulations to you guys.
Can I add in here as a third party here that had betting interest in this matchup?
Oh, I'm going to start calling you Lane Smith.
Oh, dude, I was disappointed in both. I went so long without betting, and now I'm back to degenerate status. I put a ton in. I had Garrett Crochet 9+ Ks, and of course he stunk yesterday. And then for some reason, some guy thought Randy Arozarena, or however you pronounce his last name, was going to have a home run. So I did a home run bet on him, and that didn't turn out. So I went over 2 betting on y'all's game yesterday.
You may have gone 0-2, but Lane Smith says he is 3-0 when betting Seattle Mariners baseball this season. So, Lane, keep doing what you're doing. By the way, I promise we're almost done with MLB, but Edgar Martinez is the hitting coach for Seattle this year, and when you have a Hall of Famer who uses the whole field and has probably the best plate approach in Mariners history as your hitting coach, that makes a big difference. And he took over down the stretch last year. It was a noticeable difference. Now he's back. So I think that's a big reason why. They're not that talented 1 through 9, but the approach is much better. All right, Ted McMillan, Arizona Wildcats receiver. I like this pick, Philip. How about you? Panthers Nation seems kind of torn over it.
I don't. I think he could be a good receiver. Don't get me wrong. But if we still had Jeremy Chin, Frankie Louvu, and Brian Burns, or hell, maybe 2 of the 3, be like, okay. But at the end of the day, you've got decent receivers, you got an okay running back, you got a solid offensive line, and a young quarterback. Build a defense around them. Once the team gets good, then you can go find a receiver in the draft, or, at 22, a few years down the road once you're decent, or you can find a guy in free agency, because receivers will always go to good situations if you build a good situation. But how is he going to catch the ball if the defense can't get off the field? The defense is horrible. We need defensive players. We should have picked defensive players with every pick in this draft. The defense is absolutely terrible. There's 2 players that anybody has ever heard of on the defense, and one of them snapped his Achilles in the first half of the first game last year. Like I said, he's probably going to be a fine player, but you took a first-round receiver last year. You took a second-round receiver the year before that. You took a second-round receiver 2 years before that. Historically, here are your first-round wide receivers. Guy from last year, Leggett, so jury's still out. DJ Moore, who you traded away. Kelvin Benjamin, who got fat and was terrible. And Ray Caruth, who has spent more days in prison than he does career receiving yards. They can't draft receivers in the first round.
That is, those are all fair criticisms. I will say this as a non-Panthers fan, Ted McMillan was my favorite receiver in this draft because I get it. He doesn't have elite speed, big whoop. You have Xavier Leggett, who is your speed guy. You have Thielen, who's your slot guy, and you can find a slot. McMillan, to me, he has game-breaking ability. He doesn't have elite separation skills, but he's got elite ball skills, and he is a contested catch guy. He can take over games. He can make plays after the catch. You look at this line. Look at some of these lines in college. All right, New Mexico, yes, New Mexico, but 10 catches, 304 yards. At Kansas State, 11 catches, 134. Texas Tech, 8 catches, 161. West Virginia, 10 catches, 202 yards. TCU, 9 catches, 115. In 2023 against Colorado, Travis Hunter, 9 catches, 107, a touchdown. I mean, at Arizona State, 11 catches, 266 yards. He is a game-changing receiver.
We won't have the
in
ball.
college, and I think
we're going to lose time of possession 40 minutes to 20 minutes. He won't be on the field.
Well, that's what day 2 is for.
So I'm saying you go get Xavier. You go get Xavier Watts to play safety. That's your ball hawking safety, your deep safety behind next to Morig, and then you get one of these like 15, 20 edges guys that are left that have second, third round grades, and then now you got your defense is essentially filled out.
I hope so. God, I hope so. But I don't want to. Every time we draft a defense player in the first round, he pans out always. Brian Burns, Luke Kuechly, K'Wan Short, like. Why can't we draft defense again? Julius Peppers. They all worked out.
There was one that didn't. Who was the D tackle from Louisiana Tech? I remember how to cover him. He was terrible. Vernon Butler.
Vernon Butler, yeah.
Yeah, he was not good. That was not a good pick. But, hey, can't win them all. And that was a late first rounder because the Panthers were in the Super Bowl the year prior to that, I believe. Any other, before we move away from draft talk, I know we have a question here. Let me make sure I get to this before we move on to ECU stuff. Robert Matthews says, where are they projected Cam Scatterbo to be picked? He is projected to go in the 3rd or 4th round. He would be a very intriguing Denver Bronco if Sean Payton could get him for his offense. But I've heard they want Travion Henderson. Would not be surprised if they trade up and get him today. Bobby, any other draft storylines that you really took away last night or just looking forward to today?
No, I'm just more kind of reiterating what y'all said in the last segment. I'm really excited about tonight. A, there's more picks. B, it starts earlier, but the amount of talent that's remaining. I mean, I could imagine seeing some trades here up in the early part of the second round, and that's normally when you see trades because people are trying to go up to get those guys who maybe escape the first round. I just saw something on social media that Cleveland has opened the phone again to maybe accepting some trades and somebody to move into that 33rd pick, which could mean Shadur Sanders continues to slide and Mel Kiper gets more and more distraught.
That's what I was just going to ask you guys real quick, just predictions real quick. Who gets Shadur?
I've heard the Rams are a sneaky team. Were they picking somewhere today? Obviously with Stafford getting old. I mean, at what point do they start looking into plan B for a quarterback? I'm trying to see where they pick
but I would take like the Louisville kid or Ewers or somebody like that would just slot right in behind Stafford. I think crazy thought. Does Pittsburgh have a second round pick? Because if they
Pittsburgh does not have a second round pick, so they'd have to trade up.
About to say he could fall to Pittsburgh at the 18th pick of the second round or whatever, but yeah, maybe not.
I'm gonna say L.A. Rams 14th pick of the second round, 46 overall. They could take him. Any chance the Jets take him at 10th in the second round?
Who's the Jets quarterback right now? Did they sign anybody?
Justin Fields.
Oh, they should 100% take Shador. They can just have a quarterback hell over there with a bunch of guys who are better at running than throwing, and then they can just – that's the most Jets thing I've ever heard. Yeah.
There's your answer.
Trying to think Sanders like fit. LA seems weird just based upon the personality. But when you think of Sean McVay, like Shadur's strength is ball placement and touch, which fits McVay pretty well. I could also see them taking Tyler Sco or Show or however you pronounce his last name.
Louisville guy.
Yeah, I know he's another one that at least through the media they're saying some of these execs are pretty high on from a quarterback standpoint.
And then if he goes to L.A., he can sleep in his own bed during the 2028 Olympics when he brings gold to the U.S. because that's all he's ever going to be good for. Flag football, baby. You heard it here first. He will be the flag football quarterback for the 2028 United States Olympic team.
Philip is off the Shador bandwagon, so
I was never on it.
That's fair. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll transition East Carolina talk on the way. Spring game is tomorrow. In fact, 24 hours from this very moment, the Pirates will be playing football, weather permitting. So looking forward to that. We'll touch on things we want to see. ECU baseball hosting Tulane. We'll look around the American, tell you what teams are in action, conference standing ramifications, all that. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Friday, April 25th edition. We talked a lot of NFL draft that resumes tonight. We'll touch on it more come Monday and recap where everybody went through all 7 rounds in free agency. Let's talk ECU. Going into a big weekend, we got the spring game we'll touch on here in a moment. We've got ECU baseball. Pirates hosting the Tulane Green Wave. Friday and Sunday will be ESPN Plus. Saturday will be an ESPNU national broadcast. Now, I think going into the season, Tulane and ECU were expected to be 2 of the top teams in the league. Both have been fairly disappointing, realistically. Tulane and ECU both come in with records of 24-17 overall. They're separated by 1 game in the conference standings. ECU at 9-6, Tulane at 8-7. I don't know, guys. We got Bobby Harward and Philip Pilkington with us on the show today. I'm excited because it's ECU baseball, and Tulane swept ECU in New Orleans last year. If this was the same roster for ECU, I would expect this to be a revenge series, but does that even apply this time around, Bobby, with the turnover? I would hope that you see some motivated Pirates this week, especially after not playing since the debacle that was the finale at UAB.
I think from a pride standpoint, just wearing, the ECU on the front of the jersey, knowing what happened last year, I think you have to come out and think of it as a revenge game. I'm sure the coach staff in the back of their heads think that way as well. They may not echo that through the media or maybe even necessarily to the team, but I think it is a good wake-up call of, hey, if we're not ready to play, we could get our butts whooped and be embarrassed and come back after an 0-3 weekend, which obviously would not be great after how UAB ended on Sunday. I agree. Both of these teams are very mid, and I think this is one of those series that may just define how the season ends for ECU. We have UTSA and South Florida remaining, and those are the top two teams in the conference right now. If we go out and play really well in New Orleans this weekend, I could see some confidence build and have a fighting chance with those remaining series. If we kind of falter a little bit, I feel like this is what we're going to see the rest of the year, and this is kind of who we are.
Yeah, and look, the American standings right now, UTSA 12-3 has kind of distanced itself from the rest of the group. South Florida, which is actually playing right now, I believe, let's see. It's Florida Atlantic, Florida Atlantic's playing right now against Charlotte. South Florida is playing at Wichita later tonight. So South Florida's in second place at 10-5. They're 2 games back of UTSA. FAU, ECU, and Charlotte are all tied for third place at 9-6, 3 games back of UTSA. Tulane at 8-7 at 4 games back, and then you have a steep drop-off to UAB, Rice, Memphis, and Wichita. So, look, I said going into this stretch that ECU need to go 7-2 against UAB, Tulane, and Wichita to have a shot going into those final 2 series. Thus far, they are 2-1. Should be 3-0, but, it is what it is. So I think you got to sweep either Tulane or Wichita, and that's not going to be easy to do. Philip, how do you look at this series?
I do kind of look at it as a revenge series. Like you said, there's not a lot of guys on the roster, but at the end of the day, you still got swept last year. You see it all the time when teams do something for the first time in 60 years. The guys who are not even born still wear that with pride. So I think they could wear a redemption series with pride. Also, this is a team that's won the conference tournament the last 2 years. So somehow, some way, when you get to Clearwater, you're probably going to have to beat these guys no matter how good or how bad they are. No, seriously, they probably won't win it a third time. But the point is, when you have a team who has had this much success against you, has had success in the conference tournament, and like you guys were saying, to portray you forwards, yes, you got Wichita next week before it really gets tough, but if you want that UTSA series to be meaningful, if you want a lot of butts in seats and what is already a tough weekend to get people in the stands, because let's be honest, it's graduation weekend. A lot of people, it's hard for people who live out of town to come in and get hotels. You have a lot of students who are graduating, so they're not there. You need something to give that UTSA series in 2 weeks a little bit of extra meaning, and that starts last week, as you said, Stephen, with a good performance. You went 2-1, so you're still in that position to, like you said, go 7-2, or heck, even 8-1, and then you're feeling really good about your chances to still win a conference regular season championship when UTSA comes to town in 14 days.
A couple notes on Tulane. They are a weird team pitching-wise. They have a very high strikeout rate, 409 strikeouts against 197 walks and 357 innings. Those are good numbers, but they have a 5.97 ERA. They're not giving up a ton of homers, and teams are only batting 259 against them. So it looks like they're giving up a lot of – basically they struggle with runners in scoring position because when essentially what I'm saying is when ECU gets a chance in this series, they've got to capitalize because it seems like Tulane's had trouble pitching out of those jams. Again, they do have high strikeout numbers, and their pitching staff has been kind of up and down. They do have an elite closer. Michael Lombardi throws absolute gas, 45 strikeouts, 9 saves in 22 innings. ECU will see him in latter innings. He's also a two-way player. At the plate, they are led by a familiar face, Connor Rasmussen. Speaking of revenge series, .338 batting average, 4 home runs, 12 doubles, a OPS of near 1,000. So those are a few notes on Tulane. Other action going on this weekend in the American, FAU at Charlotte in a series with two teams tied with ECU, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Tulane-ECU, Rice is at UAB, as those two teams are battling to make the conference tournament. You got Memphis at UTSA. Maybe Memphis can steal a game, but that's probably a sweep in UTSA's favor. And then South Florida at Wichita. You're just hoping one of those teams steals a game. I think Wichita or Memphis, but I think ECU almost has to sweep to keep pace, at least this weekend, but I don't know. Any other thoughts on baseball, Bobby, before we move to football?
No, not particularly. I think I did misspeak, though, and said the series was in New Orleans, and obviously it's here at Greenville. But, yeah, and it seems, too, to your point, mentioning Tulane's issues with leaving runners on base. That's been ECU's struggle, too, so it's going to be who breaks through that. I mean, I feel like maybe it's just perception as a fan, but it feels like we probably lead the country in bases loaded, men left on base. Like, the amount of times we've had bases loaded and not been able to get people home is kind of borderline ridiculous. But hey, maybe this is a series we break through. Kind of cool that we're on ESPNU as well on Saturday, so that'll be cool for those who don't have ESPN Plus and maybe have cable and can tune in.
All right, a couple notes from Johnny Robertson. The Pirates have scored in the first inning in each of their last 5 games, racking up 13 runs. Tulane has allowed a run in the first inning in each of their last 5 games, surrendering 12 runs. So you know what that means, guys? ECU will not score in the first inning tonight. And then Braden Burris is the only freshman in the country ranked in the top 20 for batting average, currently holding the number 10 spot. Yeah, Braden Burris, an absolute dog. All right, I tell you what, guys, let's go ahead and get our final break in. When we come back, we'll talk spring football. We'll also touch on the playoffs, NHL, NBA ongoing if we have time to. Final segment on the way. Hoist the colors on a Friday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo. Yes! That was so good! On 94.3, The Game.
Welcome back in. Final segment, Hoist the Colors on a Friday. Bobby Howard hanging out as always, and Philip Pilkington as well. Appreciate Sup Dogs for their support of the program. Check them out downtown Greenville. Doggy Jam's going on today. So unless you got a ticket, maybe not today. Maybe check them out later this weekend. But a lot of things going on in that area. Crush Vodka, great spot as well. They support the Pirates, so make sure you support Sup Dogs, everything they do for the program and for Greenville as a whole. All right, spring game is tomorrow. John Moody was in the chat, says he's set up. He's going to be cooking a pig all night, so he's preparing to do that. So you got the pig picking, the pig out, all that which goes on with the spring game, and of course the purple gold game itself. So we'll go around the horn here. What do we hope to see in the spring game? And we'll start with Bobby Harwood. I know you won't be able to make it in person, so I'll let you know via text because these games are not streamed if this happens. But if you were there as a fan, what would you hope to see?
Yeah, well, first, let me, you mentioned John Moody in the chat cooking pig. John Moody goes to church with myself at Integrity Church in Winterville, and we had a pig picking last weekend, and John cooked the pig, and it was fantastic. So he will not disappoint if you pick up a barbecue plate there on Saturday. I had planned and anticipated to go before I realized my wife is shooting a wedding. So, yeah, I have all three kids, and probably not ideal to go to the game, but I'll give you one thing on offense and one thing on defense. Defense, I just want to see how they gel together. What does the scheme look like? Obviously, Coach Aldridge isn't going to throw everything out there. They'll probably be very vanilla and very basic, but kind of how do they line up? What do they do? Do they make some adjustments or basic checks that they kind of have in their scheme? So that's what I'm looking for from a defensive perspective. And then offensively, how does Raheem Jeter look? It's kind of still unknown whether we'll see Caton Hauser or not, but with Jake Garcia leaving for the portal, I think backup quarterback is going to be important because they're literally one play away from being the guy at quarterback. And obviously that increases our need for a QB maybe here in this second portal window, but would like to see how Raheem looks and how he operates the offense.
Philip, what about you? Will you be there? And if so, what will you be watching?
Yeah, I'll be up in the press box with you tomorrow. I guess you're going to be in the press box, right? Or are you going to be down on the field?
Yeah, I should be up in the box because I want to get the aerial view tomorrow.
That's what I want. Yeah, I just kind of want to see how things look from up there. From a defensive side of things, look at the defensive backfield. We know this is a deep receiver room. Obviously, we're not going to probably see a lot of the starters. This comment might end up kind of going by the wayside, but just want to see, their chemistry, how they pass guys off in zone. Can they hang together in one-on-one situations in man? Then the offensive side of things, yeah, just kind of the quarterbacks kind of building off what Bobby said, just kind of down the way, is Raheem the number 2 guy? Does somebody else jump up and take that spot? Just who is the number 2? I mean, we think it's Raheem, but you never know who it's going to be. Obviously, you would like to probably redshirt the other 2 guys if you can, but you never know what's going to happen because, like Bobby said, just one play away.
Yeah, good thoughts from both of you guys. I was kind of thinking the same. Raheem, Cheston Ditta, how does he look? And I don't think we'll see the starting receivers very long, but I think we'll see. I don't know if there are starting corners right now, so I think we'll see those guys get plenty of reps. And I just want to see how do they do in contested catch situations. I worry a little bit about the corner position from a physicality standpoint right now, and then safeties in the nickel position. They're going to have to add some guys to the DB room. They're just short on numbers there. That's just the reality. And then the defensive line, do they look competent? I mean, I think this is going to be – you're going to lack experience up front as far as games, but I think they feel better about the D-line internally than most outside the program do. So how does that look via the eye test? So those things are what I'm keeping an eye on. Obviously, we'll try hoistthecolors.net. We always try to do like a play-by-play run on the thread. So that way, if you're not able to watch the game, we'll at least provide what's happening play-to-play as best as possible. All right, guys, a couple minutes left. Playoffs ongoing in NBA and NHL. Hurricanes on the road tonight. All three NHL teams on the road with 2-0 series leads playing tonight. This is where the Canes get tested, if at all, in the series. I mean, they've looked pretty dominant at home, Bob, and I don't know. Can they sweep this series, or is there any threat of the Devils making a series out of it at home at least?
Well, if you ask Frank the Tank, it ain't going to be a series, which is hilarious in and of itself. He's a Devils fan and has lost his mind here with the Canes. But, I mean, to your point, there's been 6 periods played so far. The Canes have dominated 5 of those 6, with the exception being the first period of Game 2. But the question has always been, and Philip mentioned it last week, can they win on the road? That's been their Achilles heel throughout the playoffs, and I think we'll get our answer tonight and see what team shows up. And if they can perform on the road here in these next 2 games, I feel really, really good about our chances. I've already liked our seeding, and it looks like Florida's taking care of Tampa Bay. And I know that was something you mentioned, Philip, last week. If we meet Florida in that Eastern Conference Finals, Canes will have home ice advantage, which will be a plus. But I'm very, very intrigued, slightly concerned, still feel great about the series overall, but more just intrigued how they show up on the road.
Philip, I know we're running short on time. Any final thoughts on NBA or NHL playoffs going into the weekend?
No, I think, look, just as long as Freddie can keep playing the way he's been playing, it will be a little different. You know, obviously the Devils will get last change because they're at home, but they just haven't had the firepower, it looks like, to score goals when they do. Freddie's been standing on his head. I think the Canes, this thing at worst goes 5.
All right, gentlemen, we are out of time. No time to talk about the Nuggets, which is a good thing after last night.
Yeah,
that was
I figured
absolutely horrendous. Gosh, so much for that series going to 7. But, hey, the Nuggets are used to being down 2-1, 3-1 in the series, so maybe they'll make a run at it again. Bobby, appreciate you as always, man. Enjoy your weekend with the kids.
Appreciate it. You guys as well.
Philip, thanks as always, too. And I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. If you're heading out to the spring game, be safe, have some fun. Obviously, enjoy the draft, the playoffs, ECU baseball as well. We'll be back Monday to break it all down. We'll talk to you then.
Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap